Let me see if I can explain this. And if I can explain it, let's see if you can hear it. So everything's happening now. That in itself is hard to grasp. Right where you're at right now, everything's happening now. If you don't even understand it, you can understand it because God is the same today, yesterday, forever. So it's all happening now. And so I've done this 1,000 times, this trip, and even if it's not on this street, I've done it over here on this street or whatever. It's still the same, or just the way the curve here, the way I'm going onto the highway. I've done this 1,000 times, right? You have to. It might not be the exact same road, but it's the same concept, same truth, same experience. And the reason that you've done it 1,000 times, because if it's always something new, it's kind of dangerous, right? If you have to learn something new every 5 minutes, you really wouldn't know how to function. Let me say that slowly. You know everything is happening now because if you had to learn something new every second or every 5 minutes, you wouldn't be able to function. If you had to learn how to walk every 5 minutes, it wouldn't work out. Now, if you can grasp that part, then here's the next part. Because everything's happening now, you can see something before it appears. Because there's always a cognition. Like this motor's turning over and it's firing every so often. The timing belt sets the firing sequence. The explosion, the exhaust, the gas goes in. It's like 4 things happening at once, really fast. So you already know when something's getting ready to appear because there's little glimpses. Like you can actually see that bridge down there before we get to the bridge. So that's the precog, right? So now we're approaching the bridge. That's the precog. It's still in the precog, but it's starting to appear more clearly. And so now we've reached the bridge, but now the bridge is still there, but there's a postcog. So you look in the rearview mirror and you see the bridge in the rearview mirror. That's the postcog. But the bridge hasn't moved. Maybe this is the best example that I could come up with to understand this. This is really a great example. I wish I'd have thought of this a long time ago. So how does this work? Precog, the present moment, and the postcog. So let's look at something in the distance. Let's look at another bridge. The bridge has always been there, and when you see a bridge, if it's a bridge, it's a bridge, it's a bridge. Doesn't matter what city, state, where at on the earth. So we see way up in the distance a bridge, right? That's the precog. You can start to see little patterns starting to appear off in the distance. There it is. So you know it's probably going to happen unless could have a flat tire, you could pull over, it could be a wreck or whatever, but you can see the precog. It's starting to appear in the hologram, and so boom, there it is. Now once you experience that bridge, you look in the rearview mirror and there's the postcog. There's always a precog, a postcog, and a present moment, and it's all happening now. But people say, well, what about other stuff? So I'm focused on the bridge, but to my peripheral, there's trees, there's poles, there's sky, there's lights, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So instead of saying, okay, I see the precog of the bridge, let's say I see a precog of a light post over there. So I'm approaching this light post. But the bridge is still there. Everything is there, but I'm focused on the light post or the stop. So I see a precog. There's a light, a stoplight ahead, right? Okay, so I'm focused on the light. Boom, there's the light. We're experiencing the light. The bridge is still here, but I'm not focused on the bridge. It's happening. Everything is happening now. The bridge, the light, the building, everything is happening right now. But I'm not focused on that bridge because I don't need to go under the bridge. God gives you whatever you need in the right moment. So, okay. So the bridge is still there. That light is still there. But we're focused on this sign. So the precog is that sign. The signs are everywhere. And so we're approaching this sign. We're not there yet, but we see it off in the distance. And boom, there it is. We hit the sign. Now we look in the mirror and there's the postcard. It's still there, but it's not in our focus. It's not in our holographic perspective. It's all happening now. So when you were a child, you saw your mom and dad, they were married, right? That was a precog that you would probably get married. And if you didn't, you saw other people get married. And that was a precog that you know you might have children. If you didn't, you saw other people get children. And then, so that precog became a postcog once you experienced it. After you experienced it, and then your children, they had children. They got married. It was a postcard. They're just a copy of you. So I'm coming up on this intersection. It's starting to appear. Boom, here it is. Now the bridge is still there. The light is still there. It's all happening now, but that's not my experience at the moment. That's not what I'm focused on. But I can focus back on that other stuff as a postcard. And this is kind of like a bridge. The air in my tire is a bridge because it allows me to travel on air. In type and shadow, I'm still on that bridge because I'm traveling on top of this. I'm sitting in this car, and this car is like a bridge traveling over this, whether it's a ship or whatever it is. If I didn't have air in the tire, everything would be scraping. So this is kind of like a bridge. So everything's in type and shadow happening all the time right now. Yesterday, I was sitting under a sign, and I think it said state inspection. That was a precog that this would show up the next day, and there's the word state. And I think it might have been the same color. I can't remember if it was red and white or not, but I think it was yellow and red. But all colors are happening right now. All shapes, all symbols, all words, everything's happening now, but you're focused on what you need, so God gives you what you need now. God gives you what you need right now. The wood is right there. You could actually cut that tree down and make you a table for free. It's all happening now, but what are you focused on? It's starting to appear in your holographic experience. Okay, I just experienced that yellow, and I just mentioned the word yellow, that bump, that speed bump, and now it's in the past, but here's another one. So I'm seeing some precog, so I know I'm going to go through an experience a few times. Boom, 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 boom. Then eventually when I go past this obstacle experience, whatever you want to call it, then it's going to be in the past. Now, if I kept going straight, I would keep experiencing it, but I'll make a turn. So you can turn off in your holographic experience. You can make a choice, a free will choice to turn off and turn away from certain kind of experiences. I hope I got like 3 videos I haven't uploaded. I hope I remember to upload this one because this is important right here. This is huge. If you can get a hold of that, what I just said, you have entered into a new world. Because if you really hear what I'm saying, like right now, everything that I need is all around me. Everything is happening now. So when you walk by faith, you know that God is going to make a way. So I need a cart when I go in here. God is going to make a way. Sometimes when you go to a store, just don't even grab a cart at the front door and just say, I'm just going to walk through, and then then start thinking I need a cart, and then watch a cart appear on the aisle that you needed, or right around the corner. It blows your mind. It's real, people.